Okay, it's 8:40. I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision to begin the meeting. Again, we don't have quorum, so we won't be able to take any actions at this point, but we can start to at least hear the reports. So I will officially call the meeting to order at 8:40 a.m. on May 28th, 2020. Are there any additions or corrections to be made in the minutes? Unmute yourself and let me know if there are.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay. If we reach a point in the meeting where we do have quorum and can take action, then we will revisit this item on the agenda for approval. I'm now going to turn the floor over to Cheryl. There are quite a few financial statements and situations that she's going to go over for you. So I will turn it over to Cheryl.
Well, you should have received everything, all the reports by email. One of the ones you received was a new or revised version of the end of last fiscal year, which is September 30th. And there were some notes accompanying that stating why it had to be revised. The auditor asked us to make some changes to a few things. I guess really most of this is kind of self-explanatory. Does anybody have specific questions? There's 3 months, February, March, and April also. Well,
we seem to be on track. We seem to be relatively close on track. Is that correct?
Yes, except for we didn't do a whole lot during the months that March and April did not have a lot of action, but we have a lot of kind of fixed expenses. So
it's going to fall off quickly, but it hadn't really started falling off hard yet.
Nope.
Good.
Now, I will tell you, in May, we did receive the first quarter. It's kind of hard because I'm not to the end of May yet. I don't have everything in from bank statements and stuff, but we did receive the first quarter hot tax. And we have about $73,000 in operations account in Southside right now. But I have in my hand a $23,000 payroll bill due to the city. I received notice from Pam Kerbo yesterday that the city is attempting to work out a payment plan for us that they can delay paying some of this because our hot tax for the second quarter will obviously be lower. I assume Sherry will be going over that. And I guess we probably need to make a decision as to whether we want to accept that delay. I mean, it's not going to ever go away. It's basically a loan. It will go on. I talked to her a couple of days ago about this, and she said that the auditors were okay with it as long as we put it on as a payable for us and a receivable for them at the end of the year, which is where we would be. We would still be in the middle of this on September 30th when we close out this fiscal year. So
it's due by September 30th, regardless.
No, it's not. That's what she said. We would carry on for probably 18 months, maybe whatever. She said at some point you would start making the current one and then a portion of the loaned amount, if you will, that we start accumulating. I mean, we have the money in the bank right now to at least make this one, but they're going to need some information from us. I got an email yesterday. I was out of town all day yesterday, and I got the email late last night. Sherry and I will have to work on a lot of information to give them about what our projected expenses are and things like that before they're going to agree to this. So really, I think the point is they don't want us to take away from our advertising and our operations of what we're here to do. And if we use all of our funds up in payroll, we won't be able to do things.
And when you say the money in the account at Southside, you're not talking about reserves. You're talking about
No, I'm not talking about reserves or uncommitted funds. We have, I think, 68,000 ish in our uncommitted. I mean, our unrestricted funds. Stuff. Basically, it's accumulation of what we make on our merchandise sales and donations and things like that that are not restricted. So we have funds there also to tap into. Now, most of what we do qualifies as using restricted funds, and we've never done that before, but it's there.
So, I've obviously been thinking a lot about this because knowing that our hot tax, our source of revenue is temporarily cut off. And I want to circle back to it. I want to hear from Sherry before I ask questions that she might be about to answer. So I want to talk more about the budget and that loan from the city and taking it now, taking it later, what the options are. But I don't know that it's the right time in the meeting for me to start talking about that.
Well, that's really all I had to say. That is the next thing on the list is, do we pay this? Pam's not in a hurry to get this. Normally I would pay it by the end of this month just to put it so that there would be a payroll on the May statement, but there's no reason that we have to at all. So we can make this decision later.
I just don't want to get too in debt, and so that when things get going good again and we're really wanting to ramp up and bring people to Nacogdoches, that we have a bunch of back debt that stops us from achieving our future dreams. So, that's where my questions come in, is we want to make, in my opinion, we have an incredible staff and we want to maintain that with the money that we have. But I don't know that we should be throwing a lot of money at June, advertising for June, July vacations, when it might be better to save that money to advertise for December, March vacations. But we have if we continue our advertising, put off the payroll, but continue everything else as budget, but not really having the money, then when things get going good again, and they will, then we're going to be saddled with a bunch of debt, and we will have spent a bunch of advertising money during a time that the advertising isn't really landing. Now, I'm not an advertising expert, and I know that we have to stay on people's minds, but my thoughts as, a fiscally conservative voice are always going to be, let's maintain our staff, tighten our operations, borrow as little money as possible, because it could hurt a golden future down the way. But if we can tighten things up, maintain our staff as little as possible, that would be my first choice. But if we can't, we can't.
Sherry's going to have to answer that question. All I can tell you is I know that our advertising is done way ahead because I pay bills. I know that, for example, Ashley was able to cut one of the ads for the Blueberry Festival after it was postponed, I think. But one of them went through. It says contact this website to see rescheduled dates and things like that, but we still paid for it. So just the fact that we have to be that far ahead of the game, we have to do planning now. And that's, I assume, is on Sherry's list.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
where my
discuss
lack of knowledge in that area is a liability, I guess.
Before we get too deep into the meeting, Ms. Luna has joined us, and we can now, under her guidance of the meeting, I'm gonna turn control over to her. We were able to go over the minutes, and we were just going over the financial statements, and Ms. Luna, unless you have any additions or corrections to make to either of those two items, all that's left to do is for the board to approve those. So if you want to accept those motions, I'll turn the meeting over officially now to you at 8:50 a.m. Are you there? You're still muted. Oh, your mic is turned off. Yeah. I can see you. I still can't hear you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I had a little technical difficulty this week I wasn't expecting. So we need to, do you have a motion already to?
No, ma'am.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept those financial statements?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes and financials.
A
So
second.
Both the minutes and the financials, we have a motion and a second?
Yeah. Second by Wanda Mouton.
Okay. And,
I guess we would take any nays.
do we, is there anyone opposed to that motion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and if there are none opposed, then I suppose those minutes and financial statements are approved.
Okay. That takes us into staff reports. First up, Joanna had rotator cuff surgery. She is currently on FMLA leave for at least the next 2 weeks. It really does just depend on her rehabilitation and recovery. She had that surgery last week, I believe. And she's doing fine. She's doing better. Obviously, sales have fallen off. Joanna, before her surgery, was doing her best to touch base with. We lost a lot of our big events that were coming. We lost the county judges. That was going to be huge for us. We lost. Well, we didn't. The town hall meeting has been another event that's postponed. The county judges is canceled. So hopefully TTIA will reschedule those town hall meetings at a different time, and hopefully we can recapture that audience. I know a lot of the car shows that we had on the books for March, those have already started to be rescheduled for the fall. So we've been fortunate that we've seen very few just total cancellations. A lot of them have had the fluidity on their end to be able to pivot and reschedule their events. And Joanna's been doing a great job reaching out to them and making those contacts and helping them see what they need from us, and just extending sort of the service end of what we can provide for them, service and support instead of event implementation. So that was what she was focusing on in that sense. So next is Ashley with marketing.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. So I hope everyone is doing well. We have been adapting to the situation every day. It changes literally every day, but we've been taking this time to kind of figure things out that we didn't have time to do before, like some of our software that we use, like Meltwater. I've gotten to really sit down and learn about that. So it's obviously not anything that we would ever hope for, but we'll take every little win that we can right now. So the main things I wanted to talk to you about are just what we've been doing over the past few months with marketing and advertising. You probably saw the We've Been Not Break campaign. It was mostly focused on community morale, and I feel it went over really well, and I'm still seeing the signs and still seeing even on a billboard now for Dr. Head. So I'm glad that that's still going on and still making people feel the sense of togetherness. And we've got the big banner on the side of our building if you haven't seen that. So that's been a great success. I've been taking this time to update our website. Part of what we've been doing is just compiling everything COVID-19 related onto a page on our website, so that if visitors do want to make the trek here, they can look at that website and or look at that page and see what practices we're doing to protect them, what's open, what isn't open, what parks are allowing people to come in. And so if you want to take a look at that, it's just our website /COVID-19. And then we've also been working on rescheduling Sail on the Trail with Joanna, and so that's going to be the last weekend of July. And we feel it's going to be a safe event since it's mostly outside and it's spanning over 100 miles. And so that's one event that we have to look forward to. And so we've been working on the marketing for that, as well as building our website around that. And then the next campaign we have coming up, you guys may have heard Sherry mention it, it's Put a Pin in It. And so we're getting people to, we have a giant pin. I should have brought it in for the video, but 3 feet long. And we have whoever the subject is, they talk about what, Nacogdoches means to them, or, why they love it. And then we have them finish the video with put a pin in Nacogdoches, or put a pin in the Fredonia Hotel. So far we've done a video with Larissa, who's on the call, and also with Ryan Russell at the hotel. So we're working on getting others. So Wanda, I might be contacting you.
That sounds wonderful.
Yay. Okay, good. And if anybody knows of anyone that would be interested, we're not being too picky. We just really want people that have, a stake in this. So let me know if you think of anybody that might want to participate. With that, I can't think of anything else. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I, of course, do.
Of course.
Is Brother Hancock with us?
Yes.
Good. Well, and I don't know if it's realistic. I don't even know if it's a decent idea. But talking to my friends that have kids, and, we all want to do vacations. We all want to do summer vacations. And our family, and I don't know if this is going to be embarrassing for me to say, but we're really beach and amusement park people. Like, we like to be in the waves and playing on the beach with a bunch of people, and in the amusement park, riding rides and going to restaurants, doing stuff like that. We are not planning any vacations like that for the rest of the year. Now, we're not locked up in the house. We want to go out safely, responsibly, participate in our economy, do fun things, not completely isolate. So, everybody has their different comfort level with that. Some people are getting on airplanes. I'm not on an airplane going to an airport. So what we're doing this year is we are taking a driving trip to New Mexico, and we are going to stay in an isolated cabin in the mountains with friends in a nearby cabin. And then we're going to drive back, and that's going to be our vacation. And I have talked to friends in Houston that I've always tried to get to come to Nacogdoches, because it's a beautiful place where I live and see my people here in my community. And, they're just too busy. But now that I'm advertising it as this is a perfectly socially distanced vacation, you can come and there will be plenty to do, and it won't be crowded. And some of those friends, and I mean, this is anecdotal evidence, not data, but all of a sudden I'm getting traction with them. My own life is, and when I talk to my friends in the city, is we're not wanting to do city vacations. We're not wanting to go to airports. We're wanting to go to places we can go in a car, like Nacogdoches, and go to places that are relatively low in incidence of this, because we are naturally more socially distanced. Now, we're not immune to it, and I'm not downplaying this as the effect on Nacogdoches at all, except to say that if I wanted to go somewhere because I was stir crazy, I'd rather go here than Austin.
Yeah.
And people might feel the same way. And if they aren't already thinking that, there might be a way, because there might be a way to use marketing to put a bug in your ear. That this, You don't like crowds, you don't like airports. We've got an act for that.
Right? No, I absolutely agree. And
So, I mean, I know that it's going to be thin and a matter of survival until we're on a large scale putting heads back in beds. But I've just been brainstorming on things to get people and ways to just, we've built such a good team. I want to keep y'all active, working, engaged, so that when this breaks, we pick up where we left off, which is where I feel the best we've ever been. So, but I think that we may be attractive destination in the future.
yeah, I completely agree. And I've adjusted our Instagram content to reflect that. Like I've been promoting our lakes and our just trails and wide open spaces and saying plenty of room for social distancing, plenty of space to, recharge. And I'm taking it and spinning it into a way where you can go and just kind of like be by yourself. And we are very fortunate that we live in such a beautiful, wide open space with pine trees and multiple lakes. And so luckily we have very Instagrammable locations, and Instagram is the best place to look for your future road trips. So that's what I've been focusing on lately. And mainly what I would ask from y'all is if you know of any like secret spots like that are maybe lesser known, let me know about those. Because I mean, obviously we've got Lake Nakamish and stuff like that. But if you know of like a perfect place that you can go have a picnic and like kind of, I don't know, meditate or do whatever you want to do, let me know about it and I'll go take pictures of it. But that's what I've been focusing on is photography of our large open spaces that, and are easy to take pictures of.
There's
And
a few. Go ahead.
those ad placements that Hancock has done for us, those are looking like the tagline, I believe, Chris, is the best thing for your insides is the outside, and it's a father and a son on bikes going through. So Hancock, of course, was ahead of the game on that for us.
Yes.
And yeah, they've led us as we know they are fully capable. And I mean, they've been doing an outstanding job of making sure that we are responsibly promoting travel and showcasing Nacogdoches in the best light possible under these circumstances as well. So we've tried to take the lead that Hancock has, and and just in reinforcing that in the ways that we can. But we'll continue to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't proposing an idea. I guess I was just recapping what y'all have already done. Thanks.
No, I mean, it's great ideas, and I appreciate you
Awesome.
being in on it. And like I said, if you know of anywhere that isn't maybe well known to everyone else, I think secret spots really get people excited because they feel exclusive and they feel special. So we've been promoting, that's kind of where we're going with the Eat Like a Local, is highlighting these restaurants that aren't necessarily like broadcasted far and wide, because it makes people feel like they have an inside knowledge if they, find somewhere that hasn't been found already.
Y'all are doing a really good job. I really like to see the content that you have on Instagram. It's great. I think a couple people ask about campsites. It's nothing that I know about, but I have a few friends who've asked about them, and I don't know if you have some sort of place where they could go to see the campsites where they can fill up an RV or tents.
That's a good idea. I'll look into that to promote on social media. I'm not sure about the ones in town. I mainly only know about the state parks, which are slightly outside of town, but we're promoting our whole area, so those count too.
And I will tell you, motor homes and motor coaches are the new toilet paper. I'm friends with Tile out at Fort Travel, and I work with Motorhomes of Texas, and they literally are selling. They have more demand than motorhomes they can sell. They've sold every motorhome on their lot, and they are waiting for more. I mean, they have it's not empty, but motorhomes are the new toilet paper in this thing, I think, for the people who have that kind of disposable income. So our motorhome traffic, if we can do on that too. I mean, I think that, and also Motorhomes of Texas. I don't know if you were aware of this, but they right before this happened, they cut their prices because because they could, because they operate here in Texas. And their goal is to, because right now, a lot of people come to Nacogdoches to get their motorhome serviced, and they stay here a couple days, and they shop and they do things. And I don't know how that helps our bottom line, but it is bringing people to town. And so Motorhomes of Texas decided at the end of last year, or whenever, that they didn't want to be the Texas hub for motorhomes. They wanted to be the United States hub. So they slashed their prices, and they have been bringing in people from as far as North Dakota to buy a motorhome at Motorhomes of Texas. So we have this group of people. I mean, in Ford Travel, I can't speak to exactly what their model for the future is, but we do have a group of people that are in those motorhome, parks where you park, I guess, and stay. And then we have a business that is actively, aggressively trying to bring all of the United States here for this to be a place to get your motorhome purchased and repaired. And that's more of this, kind of post-quarantine travel information that I think would be beneficial to Nacogdoches.
Interesting that you brought up Motorhomes of Texas, because they just had me submit a feature on our winery to their newsletter. So yes, they're trying to promote the area and what we have to offer here. And I was excited to do that because I knew it was throughout the United States. So I was tickled to do that. But I love the idea that, Ashley, that you're talking about the secret sites and that kind of thing. I think that's wonderful. I think people love that. Nacogdoches, any of the lakes, they're all going to be wonderful for that kind of thing, because they have camping, and I don't know if they have overnight, but they, spots, picnic spots. It's all around here. And we are tickled to hear you do this. So, and Chris, also to you too. Thank you.
And Ashley, I'll talk to Natalie Ariola. Her dad took people to more scary secret spots in Nacogdoches than anyone I've ever known.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
They have about 10 generations or something of secret spots around here. We'll find some good ones.
Okay, good, cool, thank you.
And we do, we promote tourism, and hopefully, according to the scope, our mission, our end goal is to convert those into overnight stays in hotels, just because of the way that we're funded. We do address RVs in there, even though that's not a source of revenue for us. However, we do understand that it's a piece of the tourism landscape here, and that it still has value to our sales tax bottom line for the community. So I am 100% for that. But especially now, as we're cutting budget and getting down to we were already at bare bones. There were already skeletons. So now we're like going into the marrow, and especially trying to forecast a budget. Just to keep that in the back of your mind, that if there are cuts, we're going to have to look at cutting those things where there's not a return on investment of dollar. And then when we're more fiscally robust and we can start reinvesting money in that, we certainly will. But that's just an administrative side note of all of that. Is I believe in RVs. I come from a family of RVers. We see firsthand the people that stop by here while the RV is being serviced, and we understand how they travel and how they spend and everything, and understand their importance. But and desperate times and all that.
We got to put heads in beds.
Yeah.
How is the hotel doing, by the way? How is it 0 occupancy, 10% occupancy?
Let's hear from Mike real quick. Maybe Ashley can share her screen with Mike, and he can give you an update on the visitor center report, and then I'll jump into my executive director report, and we'll address all of that. We'll go over the Smith Travel.
Good morning. We have been open here. This is the 4th week that we've reopened the visitor center, and people have been coming, as you said, like Damon said, people from Houston and Dallas, they just wanted to get out of the house, and they made day trips. And we've also had folks from Ford Travel and the RVs and the motorhomes also. Several couples from Tyler. So we don't have a lot of traffic. We've been averaging probably about 25 on Saturday. During the week, it's not that many. but people just want to get out and do something, and I think they feel safe here. And the doors are open.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, we've been pleasantly surprised. I would say on a good week, like through Monday through Friday, we might see 18, 19, 20 people. But then on Saturdays, I was here this past Saturday, just from 10 until a little after 12. Just in that 2 hours, there were 15 people that came in, and they weren't locals. They were, like
So
Mike.
you are seeing an increase.
Oh yeah, and even that first week that we opened, we had people sitting at the doors. That old Mervin's commercial, open, open, open. But once word started to get out, they started to come in, and they're not just coming in. I think that first Saturday that we were open, Mike kept us open that whole day, and there were over 20 people, but they were 20 people that bought 8 T-shirts and bricks, and so they're not just passive. They're buying our merchandise as well.
Good.
That's really good news. Yeah. Because as Cheryl said, we are making, we do really well with that money that we invest in merchandise for sale. So anyway, it's all positive stuff.
Good.
Okay. So my report. Sorry. Amy Mahaffey wants to know what Mervin's is. Mervin's was a department.
Oh, me.
Aged myself. Anyway, that's where young Sherry got her Jordache jeans.
I used to shop at Mervin's.
I feel young now. Okay, so I'm trying to think of where to dive in. So I'm just going to dive in with where we started at the top of the meeting. Our March hotel occupancy was down 21% from March of 2019. Our April hotel occupancy tax was down about 41% from April of 2019. In a most unfortunate quote from Tuesday's stakeholders call, those are dreadful numbers, but not as dreadful as they could be. I really was thinking that April, when everything was shut down and it was only essential travel, I really thought that we would be looking at of a difference of at least high 60, low 70%. Yeah, it's really good news. Now, having said that, the other end of that is our occupancy is low. It's in the tens, like it's low. The Fredonia seems to be doing really well, and we are happy for them. I mean, it's our flagship. It's what we go with. But again, that's not one where we see a return for now, for the time being. I think our other properties, the major flags, flagship hotels they're doing better than others just because they do get that routine traveler that is earning their points and they're stopping through. I think our location, I can tell you that from an industry standpoint, we are doing better than most, and we are set to recover sooner than most. The larger destinations had far much more to lose. So that first week that things were shut down in March, you had Visit Houston laying off 160 employees immediately. The city of Kima shut down their tourism completely. A lot of people, just to stop the bleed, just tourniqueted everything that they could, because Visit Houston's estimated loss is in the billions of dollars with a B, whereas Visit Nacogdoches, like $150. I mean, but like relative, it's, we don't have a lot to start with. So comparatively, we don't have that much to lose. And being closer to zero, it's a shorter trip up, in the recovery phase. And just the way that people are going to travel, like Damon alluded to, it's a lot about trust and confidence. This pandemic has really shaken people at that base visceral level of survival. And you've seen people either go to one extreme to denial that it's even a thing, or to the extreme, Silkwood showers at the front door, and not a lot of people in the middle, but that's all really fear-based because we've been shaken as a society. And these people that are in denial, they don't want to believe that something like this is happening in their lifetime. And the people that are hyper prepared and hyper responsive to it are doing their best to acknowledge it and to overcorrect, if you will. So we know that air travel and luxury vacations, those big Disneyland, the big attractions with lots of people, that those no longer feel like safe places to the average traveler. But vehicles, contained units like RVs, those do. And destinations like ours that are smaller are more attractive because they feel safer. And so we will start to see that drive market. That's where, for all this time we said, oh, if we only had an airport, think of the traffic we could get. Well, this is working to our strengths right now. We don't have an airport, and we have always been this really strong drive market destination. And so now we have an opportunity in this sort of bleak tourism outlook to really seize and capitalize that and still continue to do what we've been doing. We've always been promoting that drive market to Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Shreveport. So now we can sort of double down our efforts and invite more people to see what a lot of other travelers have known for a long time. So that's good news. I am going to try to share a screen with the Smith Travel Report. Maybe not. Present, that looks like a thing. Okay, present now. And I'm gonna do we can do the entire screen. And we'll do this. And okay, can y'all see? What do you see? Do you see a graph?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is the Smith Travel Research Report, and this is the most recent one. So you can see over here for April, our occupancy was down that 40.7, so 41%. Year to date, that puts us down 14.4% over 2019, where we were at this point in the year in 2019. And for the running 12 months, we're down 6.2. And the other numbers that we look at is this ADR, and that's our average daily rate. And so if we go all the way over, the average daily rate of a hotel room now is down 17.1%, year to date 3.5. Running 12, we're still in the black. So we want to keep those daily rates pretty steady. So that we've seen this reduction in April isn't disheartening. It looks bad, but it's not as bad again as it could be. And RevPAR is revenue per available room. So you can see the revenue that we've generated from each available bed in Nacogdoches. That's down by half for April. And that's really, again, it looks bad, but that's still at least 25% better than what I anticipated for that month of April, where everything was closed and there was no motion. So, this is, it looks scary. It kind of depends on where you look. So this graph, that fall looks fall, but I encourage you just to sort of keep the perspective. This is relative to who we are and where we are and who we're competing against, kind of thing. Any questions about the Smith Travel? Okay, I'll stop sharing and see if I can find you again. Whoop, there, P5. Okay, can you see me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did something. Okay. So we're doing okay. Okay, finances. The good news in all of this is that the city really does recognize the economic driver that tourism is. They do not want us. It cost us about, Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong, about 25, maybe 25 and some change, $25,000 a month just in payroll alone to keep this joint operational. What has been communicated to me and where we are, if you don't know, we are without a city manager. We had an interim city manager, and then now we have a new interim city manager, and that is Police Chief CV. And nobody in the city wants us to have to dip into reserves, although this is the reason, times like these are reasons that we have reserves. So but they want us to be able to use the money that we have to market Nacogdoches. And because of our arrangement with the city, we were unable to qualify for any of that CARES Act stimulus package. So that immediately sort of put us out of the running for that kind of assistance from the government. So we're fortunate that the city has agreed to go ahead and keep, and they haven't agreed yet. They have agreed to entertain a space in the universe where it is possible that they allow us. It still needs to be approved by council. And that's what Cheryl and I will be working on, is sort of answering those questions and filling in the blank. And of course, we're different than most entities. We're contracted employees of the city, but we do have a working board who is the primary decision makers on the direction. So that is a partnership between you guys and in the city.
Real quick, this, I'm still a little gray on this area.
Yeah.
And so, we're gonna walk away from here and we're all gonna go have conversations. And I want to go talk to my city council members about this, because we need to advocate for the CVB board. I want to get out in front of, with those cats, Roy, and so that we can advocate for the good work that we're doing. But let me try and understand what we're looking at with the city a little bit more. I'm just such a loan-averse guy. But at the same time, if the city is saying they're encouraging us to save the money that we have right now to keep our functionality, and we would be borrowing payroll for an undetermined at this time months. And this may be a silly question, but would there be any hard terms, like, would it be like a balloon payment where one day it's due and it's due and it's due and there's nothing we can do about it? Also, would there be any interest?
No, and again, they are trying, I think the city right now, if you're not familiar with Chief CV as a leader, he is really bare bones. You need $1, here's $1, pay me back when you have an extra dollar kind of thing. Yeah. And nobody is looking to overcomplicate this. And again, this isn't a done deal, but they are looking strictly to do what's feasible, what's within the scope of their ability to help us, because the city of Nacogdoches isn't rich. We're not in high cotton.
No.
Yeah. So what they can help us with is that piece that kept us from receiving payroll protection from the government. And that is just to give us some more time to pay back only payroll. So not of course, cost, marketing costs, none of that. So, that
will be worth it to them. We'll add value, because while we can't pay debts necessarily with 10% occupancy trim, what we do is bring people on those day trips to Nacogdoches to generate sales tax. So even if we aren't, so it does make sense for the city to help us because we are, we are going to, even though we're not going to generate hot tax, we're going to generate a lot of sales tax. Dishes that Ashley's making and that you're making and that Joanna's going to be making. So even though they won't see it in our hot tax revenues, they will see it in their sales tax revenues. So, if this is something that we want help with, I really think we can make a strong case to the city that, that they're right, that we need their help and we want help to keep Nacogdoches functioning, running, and generating money, whether it's hot tax or sales tax.
Damon, I think that from the city standpoint, this is not a loan as much as a payable and a receivable. That's really all it is, because we owe them for the payroll and they're putting it on their books as a receivable and our books as a payable. So I don't see any interest. It's not stated as a loan, it's stated as a payable and receivable. So in that sense, we consider it a loan, I think, because we know that we're eventually going to have to pay it. My question is, do we need y'all's approval as a board to go forward? I don't know the logistics of the legal part of this. Do we need your approval to go forward with the city to pursue this? Because they're asking for some financial data that before they go forward with this.
Yeah, at this point, we don't have anything to
propose.
Yeah, we don't have anything to agree to. They're still in a data collection, information gathering phase before they can, get city council to say, okay, yes, you have our permission, you have our blessing to present the CBD board with this option. So at this point, we're just still collecting information. And time wise, I full transparency, that first 2 weeks, Carrie was optimistic. Going into week 3 of the reality of this, and the numbers are up and airlines are folding and, major hotel brands are closing major destinations. The girl was looking in the classifieds. Like I was going through job security was not in the forefront of my mind. Fortunately, we haven't been as impacted as my catastrophic thinking had us. But we still don't know. The future is so unknown. Are we going to get this second wave in the fall? And how do we prepare for that? And at this time right now, I should be building out next year's budget. How do we even begin to, I don't even know where to start trying to guess how, what money we're going to be seeing. And so, if we're in a position where if we just need help with, if it would benefit us just to delay our repayment of May payroll for 90 days, the 90-day receivable, and that frees up some money for us, then that's fine. If we need it for May, June, and July, knowing that we have that backup relieves a lot of pressure from our shoulders, because we do have some costs, and we also have some relationships marketing wise where we always have the option to back out, but we've got some grandfathered in deals with marketing, Texas Highways and Texas Monthly, that and they're understanding partners, but we have to always respect the fact that they're running a business too. And print especially is not on steady ground now in this digital world. And print is always, those are 90 days out. We negotiate with our, we have negotiated deals through Hancock that give us really, really rock bottom prices for some pretty cost heavy and very valuable placement in these flagship publications that benefit us. So we were in pre-COVID, we were in a position marketing wise where we could experiment with different markets in, digital publications and in smaller media buys, and sort of play around with that. What we've done in-house, we have just shut her down where we can. And so if the only marketing that we do in this time is the marketing that we do through Hancock and those special rates that we have, what we're doing is controlling our messaging to make sure that it is in line with what we should be doing, you know, our promoting our destination responsibly, but also smartly, you know, intelligently, so that we are addressing those needs that this external situation has brought out in people. So are we showing the safety of our community? Are we humanizing our destination by showing faces of people instead of products? Are we making sure that people understand that we want them to come to Nacogdoches to experience what we see every day, and not because we look at them in the dollar sign? Like, these are the messages that we want to be mindful of each placement, of each photograph, of each thing. We have to, now more than ever, we have to be very, very precise and very thoughtful of every expenditure, whether it's man hours or money, that we spend in marketing our destination. So, you know, financially, that's where we are. Once we have a firm deal from the city, we'll present it to the board, and then the board can make that decision. And, you know, best case for us, you know, unless y'all advise me differently, my inclination is to go ahead and take them up on this May payroll. If we can get a 90-day payable on that, that's standard. That's what we're doing through Uline. That's what we're doing through a lot of our vendors. It's pretty standard, you know, 90-day receivable. And that gives us time, and time is our greatest asset right now, because we can see what's going to happen in the world, and how we can respond. We can plan our response to the events that are happening at that point. So I don't know if that addresses your concerns or
that completely addresses my concern. You know, if you and Cheryl are for it, then I 100% support.
My question is, do we need to know if anybody has issues with this? There's going to be some time invested in doing this, but we also have a timeline. If city council has to approve this, they have to have things posted so many days before then the meeting, and they're not scheduling their meetings. I mean, they are, but the regularity of their meetings is in question too. So if we've got to time all this stuff, if we can say, let's put off the May one for now, maybe that should be a vote by y'all, say turn that one into a 90. Understand, during that 90 days, we're also going to get June, July, and August. So, you know, we may be rolling one, but we got more coming up. We just need to decide how far we want to go. And if city council has to approve, do y'all have to vote first? Because you won't have another meeting before 2 city council meetings. I'm just looking at the timing here of what needs to be approved.
No, and you're smart in bringing that up. We'll in that case, if we get a fast response back from the city with a firm offer, we'll just call a special meeting, and then we can vote as a board on that. We don't have to wait for our regular meeting to respond.
Is there a reason we can't? Do we not have? Why wouldn't we? Why don't we want to vote on it now?
Because we don't know the offer. Like, we don't have the.
You think we need more information to make the decision?
Yeah, I think now if we just voted as a board, and Ms. Luna, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we voted, it's so open-ended. Like, I would feel more comfortable if we had and not that I don't trust anybody, but I just think it's best practices to have something in writing that's clearly outlined. This is what we're going to do, and for this, you know, for this amount of time, and this is the expectation. And I'm sure, I can't speak for Jeff Davis, the city attorney, but I'm sure that's how he would want it as well. So I just think it's premature to vote on anything, because we don't have that anything in its completion, in its entirety, to vote on.
But if a majority of you had a problem with doing this at all, then it's not worth pursuing. I guess that's really my angle. Do we want to pursue it for at least a certain period of time?
That, I think, is a valid point.
Yeah, I think it would be short-sighted to, say that we're not interested at this point before we even have, any.
I know that I as I understand it, after Sherry explained it to me, I don't have concerns with what's being proposed.
I have no problem with it.
I think that it's this. I think that it, at least for this month, it's essential. Because we don't, as you said, we don't right now even have enough data to know what any of the numbers are going to look like 30 days from now, 60 days from now. So if we have an infrastructure that we voted to be a part of, and they they believe in us and want to support us and help us continue our mission, without it, as long as we keep perspective on what our bills and what our responsibilities are, then I think it's easy enough. I mean, as long as we always know that money's owed and not about it, and just, which the way y'all explained it to me, there's no way we could. It just seems like that's something we need to get ourselves up. This is our PPP.
Yeah.
This is our PPP.
Okay. Well,
So would it be
Cheryl and I can go ahead and just provide Pam Curbo in the finance office with the information that she's requested, and then come back with more of the possibility and what it looks like moving into a reality. And I can be in contact with Mr. McLaren and Miss Luna to see if we need to call a special meeting and do that under the guidelines. You have a week's notice and, all the open record stuff, but it would probably be a virtual meeting. We could hammer that out pretty fast, a week's worth of time.
Cool.
Okay. Other things that we have been doing, we've just really been brainstorming. Ashley and I have been able to use the pause to reimagine our messaging and pivot and shift. We had summer plans for a really great summer campaign that we think we still might be able to salvage. Ashley has done an outstanding job. I want to brag on her in pushing out a lot of content, and not just pushing out content, but pushing out, creating and pushing out really quality content. So kudos to Ashley, and Joanna has been of great support to her as well. And those two together really make an incomparable team. They've got just the tenacity and the persistence and the bullheaded stubbornness, won't take no for an answer of Joanna, tempered with this, with Ashley's creativity and ability to personally connect. And it's great. I mean, it's really a good team. Financially, we're cutting all the costs that we can, honestly. We did invest some money in the signage for We Bend Not Break, but even then we tried to keep it just as cheaply as possible. I think that was $300, or was it $500? It was either $300 to $500 for that entire campaign. And we were able to extend that for use in the Daily Sentinel. United Way used it. Spirit Outfitters used it to mark their PPE equipment, their gallons of hand sanitizer, all of that. So we got a lot of legs and a lot of play out of that. But that sounds so sterile about the play, but because we don't want it to be, we're not doing it to get credit for it, but we are. But that sounds ooky. But hopefully hopefully that messaging, the We Bend Not Break, really spoke to the public that it's going to be okay. We're resilient, and even if you feel like you can't, you can do hard things. You can do hard things together, and that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud that it looks amazing because of Ashley's talents. I'm proud that it's been well received, but I'm most proud of how it's hit with the community, how it's felt to them. So we've done that. The next thing that I'm sort of playing around with, just so that you can see what's coming down the pike, is I want to do love letters to Nacogdoches. I want to get key community influencers. This is the stupidest idea I've ever had, but have key members, have Mayor Brophy write a love letter to Nacogdoches. It's pretty self-explanatory of what she sees when she looks at Nacogdoches and what qualities that she loves about it. And I'm going to collect those and create a book you can sell as a fundraiser, probably closer to Valentine's Day if that's possible, because I think that it will be it has the potential to be a great earmark for this time, thinking 10 years down the road when we look back on this global pandemic and how our community responded. I think this is going to be a good hallmark of this time. And I think visitors will want to know, people want to eat like a local. They want to travel like a local. I think people want to, they crave that connection because we've all loved something. We've all, to some degree, we have all felt a special way about a special place. And I think if we can share that, and again, it's fairly inexpensive to do. So I am going to start requesting some of those letters from families with photographs. Ashley and I are trying to think of a way to have submissions on our website for people, residents and community influencers as well. The more we have, the better. But I would love to compile that and inexpensively have that in some kind of book form that we can hopefully translate into some sales. But if nothing else, we've got a great keepsake and reminder of this time when it comes to keeping stories. I always say that we're the story keepers and we're the storytellers. I think this is a time for us to collect some stories and to see where we were in 2020. Hopefully when we look back.
That's a beautiful idea. I think I think of all of the people that I wish we would have gotten. I wish we would have gotten one of those from Brian Holt Davis. I wish we would have gotten one of those from Ab Abernathy. I wish we would have gotten one of those from Ed Cole. But wow, that just gives me chills. That's beautiful. I think we should get it. I think we should get it from the people you were talking about, from just everyday citizens and some of our treasures that aren't going to be with us forever, because it'll be memories of this time. It'll be memories of those people. That's just a really, really good idea. And whose idea was Ben, not Break?
Well, it was a group effort.
It was y'all's work. I have to say, I was really proud to see that coming out of the CDB. It was what we needed then. And it was just, it was Nacogdoches tough, Nacogdoches strong. I mean, it just kind of expressed our grit but in a savvy way. But I love the love letter thing. That's cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, and we can extend that to the youth as well. I think as more and more parents have become homeschool teachers, I think there's the teacher background in me says, oh gosh, what a great writing activity that could be to encourage just the art of letter writing, which is going to be lost. We're so digital now. There's just a lot of legs. There's a lot of different ways that it can spin off and be utilized. So that's sort of my passion project that I'm going to be doing. I also found when I do occasionally clean my office, even though it regularly looks like a train wreck. But that's the sign of a creative mind. Remind yourself. That's my excuse. I found a script for a driving trail that was written and originally read by Archie Donald. And it's from 1996 because Pam Fitch was the executive director. And I reworked the script and just updated it basically because there were some things that were outdated. I had Paul Smith III, who has an outstanding, to me, speaking voice. He has a great tone and timbre, and it was comparable to, in my opinion, to that of Dr. McDonald. He laid down the audio tracks for that driving trail, and I am right now in the process of working, see what I need for him to reread, and we're going to be putting that together and then releasing that on our app, because that again speaks to our need for social distanced things to do, the nod to our history, which we always want to reinforce, and it's a scaffold of this new technology that we find ourselves with in the app to, sort of that root of where we come from and what we're promoting. And again, we're able to do that for free. I may have bought Paul a beer, but that was on me, not on the CVB. But it's good to find good work that works for cheap. And but I think that's going to be really, really exciting and really great. And then, as Ashley alluded to, we've been learning our software, these things that we pay for, and we never have the time really to fully utilize, to fully use every nook and cranny of it. We've been working really hard to do things like that. I've taken some online courses to fully utilize all the functionality of Gmail and Google Calendar, because I've only been using the top layers of that. And if we're going to pay for Google Suite, I want to make sure that we are getting every penny's worth of value out of that. And that's what we've been spending our days with, even when we were close to the public. Ashley and Joanna worked remotely. Mike and I came into the office every day and answered the phones and did what we could to keep the home fires burning, to make sure that I didn't want that momentum to be lost, and I didn't want downtown to be desolate. I wanted there to be life. I wanted there to be heartbeats. I wanted there to be a voice when somebody called and somebody reached out. So unfortunately, I wasn't alone in wanting that, and that was really supported by the city and by this community. And I never can stress enough how blessed we are to live in this community that supports us so wholeheartedly. Other things that we've done to help generate revenue through our affiliation with Texas Forest Trail Region. I'm past president of that and currently serve on the board. They office out of our downstairs. Their executive director splits us between here and the Star Family Home in Marshall. In exchange for that, we get free membership into the Forest Trail, and that's about a $1,500 value that we're able to do. So we're trying to work our bartering angles as much as we can. We also have Mike Koenig. He's officing literally out of a closet in the basement, but he's happy. And in exchange, he does video work for us gratis. So we're getting really creative and thinking outside of the box and what we can get for nothing. But through that affiliation with the Forest Trail, we now have an online store, and that is a virtual thing. So we could literally come up with a design right now and have it up online and people can buy it. And that can change very quickly. We can choose, what style of shirt, if we want it in a poster print, if we want it however. But they're doing that for us. We receive 100% of the net profits from that. The first day that we announced it, we made $100 in profit alone. So that's money that will be coming back to us. And again, there's no money being spent on it because we don't have to have a stock. There's no minimum order. There's none of that. Also, we're not paying for shipping, so that end user, when they go to that online store, they're purchasing it, and this online store, the fulfillment and the postage and everything. So it really is, it's pure profit for us, and it allows us. And the Sherry that has these shower thoughts and some questionable ideas at times. If I can try it and it's if it doesn't work, then we don't have to, we're not stuck with some whatever reminders of my poor ideas. But we're doing that. But right before we closed our doors, we introduced a legacy line. of shirts, and we started with Mize department stores. My long-term plan for that was to do a Mize shirt, and everybody in Nacogdoches was going to buy it and wear it, and it was just going to be a thing. And then we're going to do Kennedy Jewelers and Case and Monk, and I was going to do Bright Hoops, but their logo was unfortunately not pretty. But I wanted to do something for the, I wanted to choose 5, and we still might do it. We just, the market is.
Aladdin's Castle video game, the video game arcade from when I was a kid, Aladdin's Castle. You'll sell them.
Keep that in mind. But we wanted, you know, we're here for the tourist, but we wouldn't be here for the tourist if not for our residents. And I wanted to do something that really spoke to, you know, to that foundation of Nacogdoches and to the things that are important to the residents. And the Mize shirts are beautiful. They're ringer tees. We have them in 2 colors. We do have some stock. People, once they know about them, are buying them. But we just haven't been open for them to know about. So those are some things that we have, you know, in the mix to help along. We're not going to survive this by t-shirt sales and brick sales alone, but we're certainly not, we're not going to give up without a fight. and we're just doing everything, pulling out all the stops that we can and doing it with a smile and a good attitude. And, you know, because apathy and panic and all of that, you know, those are contagious and they can spread really, really quickly. But, you know, so is enthusiasm and optimism. And if we spend all of our time looking at the things that we're losing during this time, we're losing that time that we're spending thinking in that negative way. But there are things that we can gain from this. And we are looking to capitalize on every one of those opportunities that this affords us. The time, you know, the time to pause and reevaluate when the rest of the world isn't moving on. You know, we're all paused. And, you know, just to reevaluate our mission and to really not take for granted what we had in the day. You know, you gain a new appreciation for what you have during these times. So that finally, thank God, it concludes my report.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Mary. Is
So
there anything
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
on the agenda that we need?
Designation of time and the next meeting.
Do you have June 25th at 8:30? Is that what you see as the appropriate meeting date?
It should be the 3rd Thursday of the month.
Okay, that might be a week late then. So June 18th?
Yes.
Okay. All right, our next meeting will be June 18th at 8:30. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
If no one is opposed, then we will sign off.